The night sky over Cybertron was illuminated by the glow of the purple alien fuel known as dark energon, as the horde of Terrorcons and Predacons led by the evolved Megatron 2.0 advanced towards the robotic surface. SCP-682, the indestructible reptilian creature from another dimension, stood defiantly in front of the army of zombified robotic dragons, ready to defend the empty metallic planet. As the two opposing forces clashed, the ground trembled under the weight of their fierce battle. SCP-682 used its razor-sharp tail and glowing green eyes to unleash powerful energy waves, pushing back the undead robotic horde. The evolved Megatron, now under the control of the godly robot unicorn and sporting purple glowing body parts, led the charge against the formidable reptilian creature. Starscream and Shockwave, two high-ranking Decepticons, watched in shock as their leader and the horde of zombified Terrorcons and Predacons engaged in a brutal fight with SCP-682. They quickly realized the danger they were in and retreated to safety through a portal that disappeared behind them, leaving SCP-682 alone to face the robotic army. The battle raged on for what seemed like an eternity, with SCP-682 and the undead robotic inhabitants locked in a deadly struggle for control of Cybertron. The creature emitted green energy waves from its roaring maw, causing havoc and destruction among the ranks of the Terrorcons and Predacons. As the fight continued, the ground beneath them cracked and split open, revealing the glowing core of Cybertron. SCP-682 and the zombified inhabitants fought fiercely around the exposed core, each seeking to harness its power for their own purposes. Suddenly, a blinding flash of light enveloped the battlefield, and a figure clad in shining armor descended from the heavens. It was Unicorn, the godly robot who had been orchestrating the chaos on Cybertron. With a wave of its hand, Unicorn unleashed a wave of energy that engulfed both SCP-682 and the zombified robotic inhabitants, casting them into the depths of the planet's core. As the dust settled, the surface of Cybertron was once again silent and empty. Unicorn, having achieved its goal of restoring order to the robotic planet, ascended back into the heavens, leaving behind a world in turmoil but with the promise of new beginnings. The legend of the battle between SCP-682 and the zombified robotic army would be passed down through the ages on Cybertron, a testament to the eternal struggle between chaos and order, darkness and light. And though the scars of that fateful night would never fully heal, the inhabitants of Cybertron knew that as long as there was hope and courage in their hearts, they would always prevail against the forces of evil. Words. 454. On the desolate metallic surface of Cybertron, under the eerie glow of the purple alien fuel known as dark energon, SCP-682, the fearsome reptilian anomaly, stood face to face with the undead army of Terrorcons and Predacons led by the evolved Megatron 2.0, now under the control of the godly robot Unicorn. As the two opposing forces clashed in a tumultuous battle, Starscream and Shockwave, both visibly shaken by the sight of the zombified robotic inhabitants, quickly made their retreat through a disappearing portal, leaving SCP-682 to fend off the relentless horde on his own. The ground trembled as SCP-682 unleashed waves of green energy from his glowing eyes and razor-sharp tail, striking down Terrorcons and Predacons left and right. The air crackled with the sounds of metal clashing and roars of defiance as the monstrous anomaly fought valiantly against the undead menace. "Stay back, you foul abominations!" SCP-682 bellowed, his voice echoing across the barren landscape. "I will not let you desecrate this sacred planet any longer." Megatron 2.0, his body pulsating with purple energy and his optics glowing with a sinister light, charged at SCP-682 with a ferocious roar. The two titans collided with a thunderous impact, their blows echoing through the night as they battled for supremacy. "You cannot defeat me, creature," Megatron 2.0 hissed, his voice cold and menacing. "I am under the control of Unicorn, the almighty god of this universe. You are no match for my power." But SCP-682 refused to back down, his determination unwavering as he continued to push back against the onslaught of undead robots. With each strike, he emitted bursts of green energy that sent his enemies flying, buying him precious moments to regroup and strategize. As the battle raged on, the ground beneath them began to crack and split, revealing a swirling vortex of dark energy at its core. The very fabric of reality seemed to warp and twist as SCP-682 and Megatron 2.0 locked in a fierce struggle, their powers colliding in a dazzling display of light and sound. "Enough!" Unicorn's booming voice resonated through the chaos, causing both combatants to pause in their tracks. "This senseless violence must end." You are both pawns in a greater game, and it is time to put aside your differences and work together to defeat the true threat that looms over us all. With a solemn nod, SCP-682 and Megatron 2.0 reluctantly lowered their weapons, their gazes meeting in a moment of understanding. Despite their differences, they understood the gravity of the situation and the need for unity in the face of a greater evil. And so, side by side, the unlikely allies turned their attention towards the looming darkness at the heart of Cybertron, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with courage and determination. As they prepared to embark on their new journey, a glimmer of hope shone in their eyes, for they knew that as long as they stood together, they would be unstoppable in the face of any adversity that came their way. And so, the legends of SCP-682 and Megatron 2.0, Heroes of Cybertron, were born. Words. 529. As the clock struck midnight on the metallic surface of Cybertron, a fierce battle was about to unfold. SCP-682, the notorious reptilian creature known for its indestructible nature, stood face to face with an army of Terrorcons, the zombified robotic inhabitants of the planet. Leading the horde was Megatron 2.0, a evolved version of the tyrannical Decepticon leader, now under the control of Unicorn and fueled by the mysterious purple dark energon. The end is near, SCP-682, Megatron 2.0 sneered, his purple optics gleaming with malice. You cannot hope to defeat us, for we are unstoppable now. SCP-682 roared in defiance, its glowing green eyes locking onto the oncoming horde of Terrorcons. With a swift swish of its bladed tail, it emitted powerful green energy waves that sliced through the undead robotic dragons with ease. Terrorcon Predacons lunged at SCP-682, their jaws snapping hungrily as they tried to overwhelm the formidable creature. But SCP-682 fought back relentlessly, its primal instincts driving it to protect itself against the relentless onslaught. Meanwhile, Starscream and Shockwave, two Decepticon lackeys, watched in horror from a safe distance. They had never seen such a ferocious battle unfold on Cybertron before and knew they needed to retreat to safety. We must get out of here, Shockwave, Starscream said urgently, glancing back at the chaotic scene unfolding before them. But what about Megatron? Shockwave questioned, torn between loyalty to his leader and self-preservation. He's under the control of Unicorn now, there's nothing we can do to help him, Starscream reasoned, as he activated a portal to whisk them away from the battlefield. Back on the battlefield, SCP-682 continued to hold its ground against the relentless attacks of the Terrorcons. Its glowing green eyes burned with determination as it unleashed wave after wave of energy, pushing back the zombified robotic inhabitants with sheer force. Terrorcon Skyquake, a former Decepticon member turned undead monstrosity, charged at SCP-682, fueled by the dark energon that coursed through his veins. But even he was no match for the unstoppable force that was SCP-682. You cannot defeat us, SCP-682. Skyquake bellowed, his metallic claws scraping against SCP-682's tough exterior. But SCP-682 only roared in response, its primal instincts taking over as it fought with all its might against the zombified horde. The ground beneath them trembled with each strike, the very air crackling with the energy of their clash. As the battle raged on into the night, the fate of Cybertron hung in the balance. Would SCP-682 emerge victorious against the relentless onslaught of the Terrorcons, or would the zombified horde prove to be too much for even the indestructible creature to handle? Only time would tell as the night sky above Cybertron twinkled with distant stars, bearing witness to the epic battle that unfolded on the empty metallic surface below. And amidst the chaos and destruction, SCP-682 stood tall, a beacon of defiance against the darkness that threatened to engulf them all. Words. 503. The metallic surface of Cybertron shone brightly under the glow of the moon, casting an eerie light on the battleground below. SCP-682, the massive reptilian creature, stood tall and menacing as it faced off against the horde of Terrorcons and Predacons led by the evolved Megatron 2.0. Ah, SCP-682, you dare to challenge me? Megatron's voice boomed, his purple glowing body parts pulsating with power. I am now under the control of Unicorn, the godly robot, and you stand no chance against me. SCP-682 roared in response, its glowing green eyes locking onto Megatron. It lashed out with its bladed tail, slicing through the air with deadly precision. Green energy waves emanated from its tail, striking the undead hordes that surrounded it. As the battle raged on, Starscream and Shockwave watched in horror from a safe distance. They could hardly believe the sight before them. The entire army of zombified robotic inhabitants of Cybertron, led by the corrupted Megatron 2.0, was converging on SCP-682. "We need to get out of here," Starscream, Shockwave said, a note of panic in his usually calm voice. "This is beyond anything we've ever faced before." Starscream nodded, his optics wide with fear. "I never thought I'd see the day when Megatron was corrupted by Unicorn's power. We must retreat before we become casualties as well." Quickly, the Decepticon duo made a run for a nearby portal, hoping to escape the chaos that engulfed Cybertron. As they disappeared through the portal, it closed behind them, leaving SCP-682 to face the undead horde alone. But the reptilian creature showed no signs of backing down. It continued to fight fiercely, using every weapon at its disposal to fend off the relentless attacks of the zombified robots. Terrorcon Cliffjumper and Skyquake both engaged SCP-682 in combat, their metallic claws and teeth flashing in the moonlight. Despite the odds stacked against it, SCP-682 remained determined. It roared defiantly, unleashing its full power in a last-ditch effort to defeat the undead army that threatened to overwhelm it. The battle raged on for what felt like an eternity, with SCP-682 and the undead horde locked in a deadly dance of destruction. Each blow landed with a resounding clang, sending sparks flying in all directions. As the sun began to rise on Cybertron, the last remnants of the undead army lay scattered on the metallic surface, defeated by the relentless might of SCP-682. The reptilian creature stood victorious, its glowing eyes gazing out over the battlefield. "Another day, another victory," SCP-682 growled, a hint of satisfaction in its voice. "This world may be filled with darkness, but I will always be here to bring the light." And with that, the creature turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind a silent and still Cybertron, its surface now empty once more. But the memory of the epic battle that had taken place there would linger for eternity, a testament to the indomitable spirit of SCP-682. Words. 504. The metallic surface of Cybertron glistened in the moonlight as SCP-682 stood tall, ready to face off against the horde of Terrorcons and Predacons led by the evolved Megatron 2.0. The robotic dragons and undead Cybertronian inhabitants advanced towards the creature, their glowing purple eyes filled with malice and hunger for destruction. As the battle began, SCP-682 unleashed its full power, using its glowing green eyes and bladed tail to fend off the onslaught of zombified robots. The ground shook with each clash, and energy waves emitted from the creature's tail, causing chaos and destruction in its wake. Megatron 2.0, now corrupted by the dark energon under the control of Unicorn, led the charge against SCP-682. His purple glowing body parts and robot optics eyes glared menacingly at the creature, determined to crush it once and for all. The two titans clashed, their metal bodies clanging loudly in the night air. Meanwhile, Starscream and Shockwave watched in horror as the undead army overwhelmed their forces. They quickly made a run for safety through a portal, leaving SCP-682 to face the horde alone. The creature roared in defiance, its primal instincts driving it to fight until the bitter end. As the battle raged on, more undead Cybertronian inhabitants joined the fray, including the corrupted Skyquake and Cliffjumper. The odds seemed stacked against SCP-682, but the creature fought on, its determination unwavering. Despite the overwhelming numbers, SCP-682 managed to hold its own against the horde. Its sharp teeth and claws tore through metal and circuitry, causing the zombified robots to fall one by one. The creature's regenerative abilities helped it withstand the onslaught, each blow only fueling its rage further. As the night wore on, the battlefield was a sea of destruction and chaos. The clash of metal and the roar of monsters echoed through the empty streets of Cybertron, a testament to the fierce battle that raged on. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the last of the undead Cybertronian inhabitants lay defeated at SCP-682's feet. The creature stood victorious, its chest heaving as it surveyed the scene of destruction around it. But the battle was far from over. Megatron 2.0, though battered and broken, still stood against SCP-682, his purple body pulsating with dark energy. The two locked eyes, a silent challenge passing between them as they prepared for one final clash. In a flash of light, the two titans collided, their metal bodies tearing through the night sky with incredible force. The ground trembled beneath them, and sparks flew as they fought with all their might. In the end, it was SCP-682 who emerged victorious, its primal power overpowering the corrupted Megatron. The creature let out a triumphant roar, its glowing green eyes blazing with victory as it stood alone on the empty metallic surface of Cybertron. And as the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, SCP-682 knew that it had proven itself as the ultimate survivor in the battle against the forces of darkness. And so, the creature slinked back into the shadows, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in the eternal night of Cybertron. Words. 531. On the empty metallic surface of Cybertron, a fierce battle was raging between SCP-682 and the army of zombified Terrorcons and Predacons led by the evolved and upgraded Megatron 2.0. The night sky was illuminated by the glowing green eyes of SCP-682 as it clashed with the undead robotic inhabitants of Cybertron. The air was filled with the sound of roaring and clashing metal as SCP-682 used its bladed tail and sharp teeth to fight back against the relentless horde of robotic zombies. Megatron 2.0, now under the control of the purple alien fuel of Unicorn, glowered down at SCP-682 with glowing purple body parts and robotic optics eyes. Starscream and Shockwave, watching from a safe distance, could only watch in awe as SCP-682 continued to battle the zombified robotic army. The ground trembled with each impact as SCP-682 emitted green energy waves from its tail, pushing back against the horde of Terrorcons and Predacons. In the midst of the chaos, Terrorcon Skyquake and Terrorcon Cliffjumper joined the fray, adding to the overwhelming force against SCP-682. But the monstrous reptile was not deterred, its primal instincts driving it to fight on against all odds. As the battle raged on, SCP-682 found itself facing off against the corrupted and massively oversized Megatron 2.0. The dark energon that powered Megatron's robotic body only served to make him even more formidable, his circuits pulsing with dark power. Despite the overwhelming odds, SCP-682 continued to fight with ferocity and determination. Its primal rage fueled its every move, tearing through the hordes of undead robots with savage efficiency. Meanwhile, Starscream and Shockwave worked quickly to contain the dangerous cosmic rust that threatened to corrode the metallic surface of Cybertron. They knew that any breach could spell disaster for all involved. As the battle raged on, the night sky began to lighten with the approaching dawn. SCP-682, covered in the oil and debris of its fallen enemies, stood victorious against the horde of zombified robotic inhabitants. The robotic planet of Cybertron was once again safe from the threat of the undead, thanks to the unstoppable force of SCP-682. As the sun rose over the desolate surface of Cybertron, a sense of peace settled over the once war-torn landscape. And though the memory of the fierce battle would linger on, SCP-682 stood tall as a testament to the indomitable will of the monstrous reptile. And as it basked in the glow of the rising sun, SCP-682 knew that it had proven itself as a force to be reckoned with in the ongoing war for Cybertron. Words. 441. The night air was quiet on the metallic surface of Cybertron as SCP-682 faced off against the horde of Terrorcons, led by the evolved Megatron 2.0 under the control of the purple alien fuel of Unicorn. Starscream and Shockwave watched in shock as the battle ensued. SCP-682. Watch out for Megatron. Starscream shouted, his optics wide with fear. I can handle him, SCP-682 growled, emitting green energy waves from its bladed tail as it clashed with the zombified robots. Meanwhile, Terrorcon Skyquake and Terrorcon Cliffjumper joined the fight, their purple glowing eyes fixed on SCP-682. The monstrous reptilian creature roared as it fought back, using its sharp teeth and claws to fend off the attacking robots. As the battle raged on, Megatron 2.0's metallic body began to regenerate thanks to the dark energon flowing through his circuitry. But SCP-682 was relentless, determined to defeat the corrupted leader and his army of undead robots. You won't win, SCP-682. Megatron 2.0 snarled, his voice distorted by the dark energon. But SCP-682 was undeterred, overpowering Megatron and crushing his metallic head with its razor-sharp teeth. Starscream and Shockwave could only watch as their leader fell to the monstrous creature. As the sun rose over Cybertron, SCP-682 stood victorious, its victory roar echoing across the empty surface. The lifeless scraps of the Terrorcons littered the ground, their purple glowing eyes extinguished. Optimus Prime and the Autobots arrived, surveying the aftermath of the battle. "What happened here?" Optimus asked, his voice filled with concern. SCP-682 turned to face him, its glowing green eyes fixed on the Autobot leader. "I defeated the Terrorcons, but the battle is not over. More threats may come." Optimus nodded, impressed by the creature's strength and determination. "Thank you, SCP-682. We will stand together against any enemy that threatens Cybertron." And with that, SCP-682 disappeared into the shadows, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead on the metallic surface of Cybertron. The Autobots stood united, ready to defend their home against any threat that may come their way. Words. 348. On the empty metallic surface of Cybertron, the night was filled with tension and danger as SCP-682 found itself facing off against the Terrorcons and Predacons led by the evolved Megatron 2.0. The purple glowing body parts and robotic optics eyes of Megatron 2.0 signified the control of the godly unicorn and the dark energon that fueled him. As SCP-682 clashed with the zombified robotic inhabitants of Cybertron, Starscream and Shockwave watched in shock as the massive army of undead robots descended upon them. The Decepticon duo quickly retreated through a portal, leaving SCP-682 to battle the horde alone. Using its glowing green eyes and bladed tail, SCP-682 emitted powerful energy waves, pushing back the Terrorcons and Predacons that surrounded it. The monstrous reptilian creature roared with fury, determined to fend off the relentless attacks of the undead army. Among the undead horde was Megatron 2.0, who had become corrupted by the dark energon under the control of the godly unicorn. As the battle raged on, SCP-682 used its sharp teeth, claws, and tail to strike at the giant robotic leader, but Megatron's regenerative abilities made it a formidable opponent. Meanwhile, Terrorcon Skyquake and Cliffjumper joined the fray, adding to the chaos and destruction on the metallic surface of Cybertron. The purple dark energon flowed through their circuitry, giving them enhanced power and strength in battle. As the fight continued, SCP-682 slowly gained the upper hand, overpowering the undead horde and cornering Megatron 2.0. With a fierce determination, SCP-682 pinned the giant robot down, crushing his metallic head with its razor-sharp teeth. Starscream and Shockwave could only watch in horror as their leader was defeated by the monstrous reptilian creature. With a victorious roar, SCP-682 emerged as the sole victor on the battlefield, standing triumphantly over the lifeless body of Megatron 2.0. As the sun began to rise over Cybertron, SCP-682 vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a battlefield littered with the lifeless scraps of the defeated Terrorcons. Optimus Prime and the Autobots arrived, witnessing the aftermath of the epic battle that had taken place on their home planet. The defeat of the undead army marked a new chapter in the ongoing war for control of Cybertron, with SCP-682 proving to be a formidable and unstoppable force against even the most powerful of adversaries. As the dust settled, the Autobots vowed to continue their fight for freedom and justice against all threats, both old and new. Words. 416. The night was eerily quiet on the metallic surface of Cybertron as SCP-682 faced off against the horde of Terrorcons and Predacons led by the evolved and upgraded Megatron 2.0, now under the control of the godly robot unicorn. The purple glow emanating from Megatron's body signified his newfound power, fueled by the dark energon that corrupted him. As the battle raged on, Starscream and Shockwave watched in shock as their leader, Megatron, battled against the massive reptilian creature. SCP-682, with its glowing green eyes and bladed tail, unleashed waves of energy to fend off the undead robotic inhabitants of Cybertron. As SCP-682 clashed with the Terrorcons and Predacons, even the undead versions of heroic Autobots like Cliffjumper and evil Decepticons like Skyquake joined the fray. The battlefield was a chaotic scene of metal clashing against metal, with the sound of roars and battle cries filling the air. The dark energon flowing through Megatron's circuitry allowed him to regenerate and reform, making him a formidable foe for SCP-682. But the monstrous reptile was relentless, using its sharp teeth and claws to tear through Megatron's metallic body. As the battle reached its climax, SCP-682 managed to ground Megatron and deliver a fatal blow, crushing his head with its powerful jaws. The victory roar that echoed through the empty metallic landscape marked the end of the Terrorcon army and the reign of the corrupted Megatron 2.0. With the sun rising above Cybertron, SCP-682 stood victorious over the lifeless bodies of the Terrorcons, their purple glowing eyes fading away. Starscream and Shockwave, witnessing the destruction of their army, could only watch as the Autobots, led by Optimus Prime, arrived on the scene. Optimus Prime surveyed the battlefield filled with the remnants of the defeated Terrorcons and nodded in approval at SCP-682's victory. As the Autobots began to clean up the mess left behind by the battle, Starscream and Shockwave knew that they would have to regroup and strategize for the next chapter in the ongoing war for Cybertron. And so, as the day dawned on the empty metallic surface of Cybertron, the echoes of the battle between SCP-682 and the Terrorcons faded away, leaving behind a new chapter in the history of the robotic planet. The neutral monstrous reptilian creature had emerged victorious, proving its strength and cunning in the face of overwhelming odds.